power or lack of is at the club. It tells me that the Fafitas, it's finally dawned on him that if he doesn't wear a GPS device, he ain't playing anywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean anywhere. So if he wants to get paid, he better grow a pair and put his little GPS tracking device on.
Yeah, stop being a snowflake and
wear
a couple of inches of plastic between his shoulder blades.
Yeah. So I think it says quite a lot, but yeah.
Well, the thing you said before about the Chester position, yeah, I get what you're saying. To me, it's always been apparent that the chairman, whose name it slips from my mind as we need to talk about him,
Michael Carter,
is quite hands-on in the way that he runs.
Oh yeah, he's hands-on.
So it doesn't
clearing snow with a shovel and stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he's hands-on and he cares and he runs it that way, doesn't he? He rolls his sleeves up and gets stuck in, and maybe that sort of attitude and approach is someone with that in the leadership role at the club was the right person to be talking to David Fafita to emphasise that the message that people should be rolling the sleeves up and getting stuck in to back each other through these times, and very, 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 very small sacrifices like this shouldn't be holding someone back from playing and helping his teammates on the field ultimately. And Wakefield probably aren't going to be a worry for the top four, and they're out of the cup, but you still need bodies on the pitch to fill these fixtures for these teams to even exist come next year and beyond.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm glad sense has been seen by all. So Hull KR fullback.
Yeah.
Go on.
Finally, we're off the props.
Yeah, we're off props for a bit. Hull KR fullback Will Dagger has signed a new deal for the 2021 season. So Dagger, who's also 21, joined the club from Warrington on a permanent basis ahead of the 2018 season and has made 32 appearances to date.
I think it's a shame for him that he's picked up a knock after signing this new deal, because he's been doing good, hasn't he? In the absence of the usual fullback, he's played pretty well.
Yeah, he's looked. I have worried about him when I've seen him before in terms of sometimes his positioning and ability to compete for the ball, but he's definitely looked notably better in these last. As KR's form has upticked, he's looked better. So yeah, it's a good thing for him as well.
Yeah. Super League champions St Helens have handed a professional contract to Albanian teenager Elliot Poposhi. The 16-year-old, whose father Arbian played for Albania against Great Britain students in Tirana last year, I suppose if he's only 16, his dad could be 32, 33, couldn't he? Who knows? Has signed a 2-year deal with the option for a 3rd year, and will start out in Saints Academy, I think from 2021, that's supposed to say. Sean at Bruiser664, nice to hear from you, Sean, got in touch. He said, why is everyone saying that Elliot Poposhi is the first Albanian to sign a professional Super League contract? Olsi Krasniqi and Erjan Dolapi have both played in Super League after coming through at London Broncos / Harlequins RL. I've got to be honest, I haven't heard anyone saying he was the first, but it has been quite a big story, hasn't it? It's been on all the Rugby League news websites and that sort of stuff. So
it's an angle, isn't it, to take? Yeah. It's something slightly different, same as they're very keen to say that Havard was born in Bulgaria. This news is very Eastern European and very prop related this week so far.
But from my understanding, he's coming out of the Tirana system, as it were, rather than moving over to England as a young kid and then basically being English by the time he plays Rugby League, even though he might have been born in Albania. I might be wrong, but that was the way I read it, that he'd sort of been based over there. Like I say, I might be wrong, but that does add a different angle to this, to say Olsi Krasniqi is a very successful Albanian Rugby League player in the Super League, in terms of the amount of time, games and seasons he played and different clubs he played for as well. But it does give a different slant on it. to me that this is a young kid coming over to play is the way I've read the story. Maybe I'm wrong, like I say. But it's important that we get. It's important that there's a sign of pathway for more talent to get into our sport. We often talk about not having the greatest pools of talent and how long can the sport be sustained by a few amateur clubs in sort of what was old South Lancashire kind of areas, and like Hull and West Yorkshire. We need to find new ways of developing talent, and the growth of the game that we've seen in the community tiers across Europe and stuff is really promising and pleasing to see. And actually, we're seeing international games played across all of Europe, aren't we? And then there's the sort of inter-European leagues that are trying to be created next year, club-side leagues as well. And this just gives players who come through those pathways something to aim at when they see, well, this kid signed at St Helens.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. In more unfortunate news, so Hull KR winger Ethan Ryan is unlikely to play again in 2020 after fracturing scaphoid bone in his hand in the Friday's Challenge Cup defeat by Leeds. The 24-year-old Ireland international scored 3 tries in 6 games since being brought into the team by Tony Smith. Ryan was one of 6 players signed from Bradford in the off-season, having scored 84 tries in 98 matches for the Bulls. That's a shame.
Yeah, he was starting to show what he could do. He scored that spectacular finish, didn't he, the week before in Super League, and now we're not going to get to see that until next year. But he's probably, shown himself a valuable asset to Hull KR going forward. I would hope.
Yes, I think so. But if you don't want him, I'd welcome him back with open arms.
Well, the strike rate of the Bulls was really good, wasn't it? And I think he'd just started to kind of show more involvement in the game as well, because in his early games for Hull KR, I felt he was just standing out on the wing waiting for a chance to show his finishing ability. But the last couple of games, I think I've seen him come inside a bit more for early carries and that kind of stuff, which is what you need at the top level, really. You need to show that effort and enthusiasm, and he was starting to show more. Good offloading game, lots of ability, so let's hope because at 24 he's not getting any younger, so he needs to hit the ground running next year, you would think. Another Super League story. I wonder what you make of this one. Salford have confirmed that former Widnes pair Tom Gilmore and Oliver Ashall-Bott are training with the club. Gilmore's 26, and Ashall-Bott, who I don't have his age, but is young, 2021, are both set to join Ottawa Aces next year for the 2021 season. Gilmore, who's at Halifax, and Ashall-Bott, who's at London Broncos in this season, obviously are available, and Salford have got one of the smallest squads in the league. So what do you make of this? Trialists, I guess, for now?
I seem to remember I mentioned this last time, the possibility, because at the time I think KR had recalled Rowan Milnes, and obviously there's because these players run low.
Squad for next week's fixtures.
Yeah, but obviously we saw last week with the old sandwich smasher. There's no he kind of signed with no kind of loan agreement or anything like that. And I do think these players who are kind of available, you might see them starting to be drafted into Super League teams, or at least kind of squad depth type stuff, because of thinness of squads. I think it's absolutely something we might see for the rest of the year. Definitely. It's
strange, isn't it, that we're talking about two guys who'll be playing in League One potentially next year, who are looking a sort of emergency cover for the Super League right now. But they are two players who've played in the Super League already, it has to be said.
Yeah, I mean, they're Championship players, really. They happen to be signed to League One, but
yeah,
we all know well that's the deal there. So, but yeah, no, it's I don't think this will be the last. I really don't.
No. Well, we've only got this week, though, haven't we, for those signings to happen? So I'm assuming next week will be quite a newsy show, and then we'll move on. Right. And talking of being quite newsy, Championship and League One have been very newsy, haven't they, recently? And I want to give huge credit to the work Rugby League are doing at the moment, putting together all these stories. And we're basically skimming through their site and putting them together to make sure people who aren't going on there are hearing about them. But do go and give them your clicks over on loverugbyleague.com, because the guys there are doing great work in Championship and League One news. But we're going to quickly whiz through some stories from the last week of signings and re-signings at that level. Do you want to kick us off with the first one up in Cumbria?
Yep, so Whitehaven have signed young New Zealand halfback Cal Williams on a one-year deal. The 20-year-old Kiwi is committed to Haven for the 2021 Championship season, having spells in the under-20 teams at Canterbury Bulldogs and Melbourne Storm, as well as the Newtown Jets. There's no way he's not named after Tawera Nikau, surely.
Yeah,
because of his age and stuff. Surely.
I would say I've never heard of it as a first name before, so that gives me a suggestion to think, yeah, possibly.
As you say, unless Nikau's a particularly common name in New Zealand. Any Kiwis, please tell me otherwise.
Yep. Dewsbury centre Matty Fleming has re-signed for 2021. The 24-year-old was at St Helens and London Broncos before moving to the Rams ahead of this year.
York hooker Chris Browning has agreed a new one-year deal. 26-year-old rejoined the Knights ahead of the 2019 season from Salford.
Highly rated halfback Carl Dixon has agreed a new deal with Whitehaven for 2021, so he'll be partnering Nikau. Dixon, 27, joined the Championship side from Wharf-Brow Hornets, where he was rated one of the top amateur players in the country.
Ireland's record point scorer Liam Finn has signed a new deal with Dewsbury. Finn, who's 36, has scored more than 500 points for the Rams in two spells, having previously played for them between 2006 and 2009.
Yeah, he's never going to dream it's over his career, is he, Liam Finn? He just keeps going on and on and on. Oldham prop Phil Joy has signed a new 2-year deal which will keep him at the club until the end of the 2022 season and earn him a testimonial. The 29-year-old has played 160 times so far for the Ruffians.
York utility Jason Bass is committed to the club for next year. The 24-year-old joined the Knights from Coventry in 2019.
More York news as former Leeds and Wakefield forward Jordan Baldwinson has signed a new 1-year deal at York. Baldwinson, who's 25, has made 24 appearances for the City Knights so far.
Batley have signed Elliot Workington for the 2021 Championship campaign.
Dewsbury have announced the signing of winger or centre Joe Wardle for the 2021 season. 22-year-old came through at Hull KR. The Rams have also announced the signing of prop Jordan Schofield for next year, whilst experienced halfback Paul Sykes has committed to his hometown club for another year. How old Paul Sykes now?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, with Sykes and Finn, that's got to be out there. Unless Bradford sign another experienced guy, because to be honest, we're probably going to be up there next year as well.
yeah, but that Paul Sykes must be
he can't be much younger.
Halifax have announced the re-signings of Connor Davis and Curtis Davies. They have both represented Wales internationally.
York news: York back rower Sam Scott signed a new deal for the club next year.
Dewsbury forward Sonny Esselman has committed to the club for next season. He joined the club before the start of this year. York have confirmed that Joe Porter has signed a new 1-year deal with the club. The 27-year-old has been with the Knights since 2017. And York prop, they've been so busy this week. York prop James Green has agreed a new 1-year contract with the club. 29-year-old joined the Knights from Bradford ahead of this year. Previously, obviously, been in Super League, most notably, I guess, with Hull Kingston Rovers.
Should we move on to League One?
Yeah, we should, yeah.
Or Perspective League One. So, Ottawa Racers have signed Former Union under-20 international Guy Armitage, 28-year-old centre, who was the brother of full England internationals Dylan and Stefan Armitage, switched codes in 2019 when he joined the London Broncos and made 2 appearances for them in Super League.